Well, they shipped us to Fort Leonard Wood, and the first couple of weeks was nothing but confusion. It was really, they was trying to get us all in a line, get us all doing the same thing at the same time. When you got 300 guys that have never done that before, it's kind of, they had their hands full. After I finished basic training, I was assigned at Fort Gordon, Georgia for signal school. That's where I went to school to learn how to be a repairman, a teletype repairman. As you guys wouldn't know what a teletype is. It's a fancy typewriter.
Okay.
It makes tape and it prints out on it. That was their primary communications tool for communications at the time, voice and teletype. Our job was to literally intercept the Morse code and the voice messages, transcribe them, and give them to the G2 unit. They would give them, after that they gave them to the lower units so they know where they were, who they were fighting against. We had to have a 99.9% up rate on all the equipment, the radios, everything. Yeah, I served on ground in Vietnam and in Thailand. And during all this time I was married. I was airborne, so we were in an aircraft and we got shot at a few times. On the ground itself, in Phu Bai, South Vietnam, we had missile attacks probably every night while I was there. I was there off and on for the full 12 months. We were closing down the Phu Bai station and moving everything to the rear, because that's it, right at the tail end of the Vietnam War. They were encroaching on us. As we moved out, they moved in. That's how close they were. Only one ASA airborne crew was lost during the whole Vietnam War. That was from 1964 through 1973, and they're still missing. I didn't feel like I wanted to go back, and I came back flat on my back. And we weren't, even in the ambulances, we weren't treated nice. I did my recuperation in Udon Air Force Base in the Philippines, and when they shipped me back here, they shipped me to Beaumont Army Hospital on Fort Riley, Kansas. That was just release time. They were kind of trying to teach me how to walk straight again. And they told me that I probably would never walk again, and I fooled all of them, and I walked out of the hospital.
So
I went back to active duty within 6 months. I re-enlisted to become a peripheral equipment repairman for IBM machinery, and I went back to Fort Gordon again. We were at 7th Radio Research Field Station, and we had one of the world's largest classified items. You could actually see it from space. It's what they call a flare dyne antenna, and around it was a DF, directional finding antenna, but around it on the outside was a quarter mile. Yeah, I wanted to go to Spartan School of Aviation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to learn to be an airframe and power plant mechanic. I didn't make it because I got drafted, and I was really interested in aviation, always have been. And when I got out, I got lucky enough to get a job with Singer Link. I learned to fly T-37s, T-38s, F-16s. Anything that's got wings and rotor on it, I used to be able to fly. My older boy, he was in the Army as well. He's a Patriot missile crewman. He knows, I guess there's a thing, once you've seen it, and you really don't. If somebody else has seen it, they know what you're talking about or know how you're feeling. So my second oldest is also. He was in during the Afghan-Iraqi war. He fell out of the back of a truck and busted his knee. So we call him clumsy. And believe it or not, he hurt bad enough they had to put him out.
My name is Jim Berg. Yes, I am a veteran. I joined the United States Air Force back in 1961, served 4 years as what they called a communications center specialist. And what that means is that I was one of the many people that was in a communications center handling all of the messages that were coming in and getting them to the right parties. Some of the messages were top secret. I had the highest clearance that was available at that time, because we were actually taking top secret messages, going into a back room, decoding them with a certain message, and then sending them on to other people. One of the significant things is that I joined the Air Force to get away from home, which worked out really good because I spent time in Okinawa, and then I was sent to an isolated site in the middle of the Pacific, and our job there was to watch the communications against our former enemy, Japan, and intercept those messages and relay them to our allied troops. I was with about 80 people. Life was not exactly exciting on an isolated site, but we made do with books and different athletic kind of activities, and I am quite proud to say that I became a pretty good pool player during that time period. The thing about the isolated site is you could get up in the morning and you could see on top of the hill the entire island which is inhabited by actually communist-affiliated population at that time. So I was of no threat, but the question is, did I carry a gun? And the answer is yes, I did. They asked, where in the United States did you want to go? And being a hometown Minnesota boy, I picked Omaha, Nebraska. That turns out to be SAC headquarters, and a lot of things happened there, but the security getting into the building was incredible. And I can remember one time we actually had the President of the United States at that time, John F. Kennedy, visit our facility. We did communications work at that time the same way we did it all the way through. What it means to me is certainly I served with a lot of very, very dedicated men and women, and I'm a patriot. I believe in the country, I believe in the Constitution, and I would certainly do the same thing again in a heartbeat if I needed to do it. It was a great experience for me, and I do thank my granddaughter for remembering me as being a Vietnam era veteran.